Most men wonder why the bedroom has become a place of rejection or silence. They think the problem is what's happening inside those four walls. But if you want more intimacy in the bedroom, you have to stop making the bedroom the only place you're intimate. Today, I'm showing you the silent language that changes everything before the lights even go out. Think about it. If the only time you touch her is when you want something, your touch isn't a gift, it's a transaction. To her nervous system, that feels like pressure, not passion. For a woman, especially over 40, intimacy isn't an event that starts at 10 p.m. It's a slow-burning fire that you either feed all day with small, silent gestures, or you let go cold by ignoring the moments in between. To understand why this works, we have to look at the physiology of safety. For a woman, especially over 40, the world is loud. Her brain is constantly scanning for the next task, the next fire to put out. This keeps her cortisol, the stress hormone, at a peak. And here is the hard truth. Desire cannot breathe in a room full of stress. Think of her emotional energy like a battery. Most men wait until the battery is at 1% and then try to initiate intimacy in the bedroom. But by then, she has nothing left to give. A simple, non-sexual hand on her back isn't a request for more of her energy. It's an emotional recharge. When you charge her throughout the day with no expectations, she finally feels safe enough to let her guard down. And safety is the only way she can eventually feel enough desire to be intimate later. This leads us to the most powerful tool in your arsenal, the unsolicited anchor. This is how you deliver that recharge without saying a word. The anchor is a simple, deliberate touch that asks for absolutely nothing in return. It's called an anchor because it pulls her out of the storm of her to-do list and grounds her back into the safety of the present moment. Here is how you do it. When she is busy, maybe she's at the kitchen counter, focused on her laptop, or just walking past you, don't wait for her to look at you. Simply place your hand firmly on the small of her back or the curve of her shoulder. Don't rub. Don't lean in for a kiss. And this is the secret. Do not wait for her to turn around. Hold it for just 3 to 5 seconds, long enough for her to feel the warmth of your hand, and long enough for her nervous system to register that you are there. Then, simply take your hand away and walk back to what you are doing. In those 3 seconds, you've done more for your intimacy than a 2-hour dinner date ever could. You've sent a silent message to her brain that says, I see you, I'm here, and I don't need anything from you right now. You aren't trying to start a fire. You're just making sure the hearth stays warm. Because when she knows she can be touched without being pursued, she stops bracing for impact and starts leaning into your presence. The 20-second hug, the system reset. The second gesture is the most underrated tool for connection, the 20-second hug. Most couples hug for 3 seconds, a quick squeeze as they pass in the hallway or say goodbye. But a 3-second hug is just a greeting. A 20-second hug is a biological event. Science tells us that it takes roughly 20 seconds of sustained skin-to-skin contact for the body to fully release oxytocin, and more importantly, for the heart rates of 2 people to begin to synchronize. This is what I call the system reset. When you come home from work, or when she walks through the door after a long day, don't just say hello and ask what's for dinner. Walk over, wrap your arms around her, and just hold her. Don't talk. Don't move. Just breathe. Around the 10-second mark, you'll feel something happen. You'll feel her shoulders drop. You'll feel a long, deep exhale. That is the sound of her nervous system finally feeling safe enough to switch off survival mode. By the time you hit 20 seconds, the tension from her boss, the traffic, and the to-do list has melted away. You haven't fixed her problems, but you've reminded her that she doesn't have to carry them alone. Remember, if you want her to be available to you emotionally later tonight, you have to be the person who helps her feel safe now. The still hand, the quiet bridge. The third gesture is perhaps the most difficult for men to master because it requires the one thing we struggle with most: stillness. I call it the still hand. Imagine it's 8 p.m. You're both finally on the couch. The house is quiet, but her mind isn't. She's scrolling through her phone, maybe checking emails or tomorrow's schedule. You're sitting right next to her, but you might as well be on different planets. Most men think that to connect here, they need to start a conversation or initiate a massage. But to a woman who is already overstimulated, a massage can feel like another thing she has to respond to. It feels like a demand for her attention. The still hand is different. It's a bridge, not a demand. Instead of rubbing or stroking, simply reach over and rest your hand firmly on her leg, her arm, or her hand. And then keep it perfectly still. Think of it like a heavy blanket. You know how a weighted blanket helps a restless child or a stressed adult finally feel grounded? Your hand is that weight. By keeping it still, you aren't asking her to perform or react. You are simply saying, I am in this space with you. You aren't alone in this silence. I remember a man telling me that he tried this while his wife was stressed about a family conflict. He didn't try to fix the problem. He didn't even speak. He just kept his hand on her knee for 10 minutes while they watched a movie. Later that night, she told him it was the first time all week she felt like she could finally stop running. When you offer a still hand, you are offering her a safe harbor in the middle of her mental storm. You aren't trying to steer the ship, you're just giving her a place to dock. The fourth touch, shoulder-to-shoulder presence. The fourth silent language is one that most men actually find the most natural, yet we often forget to use it with intention. I call it shoulder-to-shoulder presence. Think about the way men traditionally bond. We don't usually sit across from each other at a table, staring into each other's eyes to talk about our feelings. We bond while doing. We bond while working on a car, watching a game, or standing at a grill. We communicate through shared action, but we often forget that she needs this from us too. Imagine a real-life Tuesday night. She's in the kitchen, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of invisible labor. The dishes are piled up, the counters are cluttered, and she's mentally rehearsing the school schedule for tomorrow. In her mind, she is on an island. Most men see this and think the loving thing to do is to stay out of her way so she can finish, or to ask, "Do you need help?" But to a woman who is already maxed out, having to give you a task is just one more thing on her to-do list. The metaphor here is the silent wingman. Instead of asking what to do, just walk into the space. Don't say a word. Stand next to her, shoulder to shoulder, and start doing the one thing you see that needs to be done. Pick up a towel, clear a plate, and as you do it, let your shoulder or your arm brush against hers. That brief, functional contact while you are working together tells her nervous system, the workload is shared. The island is gone. You are not alone in the mundane. I once spoke with a woman who told me that the most intimate moment of her decade-long marriage wasn't a vacation or a gift. It was the night her husband simply stood next to her at the sink and dried the dishes she was washing. He didn't speak. He just let his arm rest against hers while they worked. She said that for the first time in years, she felt her internal motor finally stop racing. When you stand shoulder to shoulder, you aren't just helping. You are providing a physical anchor that says her reality is also your reality. And when a woman feels that her burden is shared, the space in her heart for desire finally begins to open back up. If you've watched this far, you might be thinking, this seems too simple. How can a hand on a shoulder or a 20-second hug change a marriage that feels cold? And the answer is that intimacy isn't a mountain you climb once. It's a garden you water every single day. The final metaphor I want you to carry with you is the compound interest of love. In finance, you don't get rich by depositing $1 million once. You get rich by depositing small amounts, consistently, over a long period of time, until the interest begins to build upon itself. Your relationship is exactly the same. Every anchor, every still hand, every intentional hug is a $5 deposit into her safety bank. On their own, they don't look like much, but over a week, a month, a year, they create a massive reserve of trust. When you finally go to the bedroom at 10 p.m., you aren't trying to start something from zero. You are simply stepping into a room that has been kept warm all day by your presence. So here is my challenge for you this week. Pick just one of these silent languages. Don't tell her you're doing it. Don't explain the science of oxytocin. Just do it. Give her a safe harbor to dock her ship. Be the person who sees what she's been missing. Because when a woman feels seen in the light, she will want to be close to you in the dark.